Authorities are releasing the identity of the man who they say shot and wounded a Washington County Sheriff's deputy yesterday at a Tualatin apartment complex. That deputy is in critical condition but is stable following surgery. The suspected shooter was found dead with a gunshot wound. Fox 12's Carly Olson is at the Timbers at Tualatin Apartments this evening. She's been following the story and joins us now live with the details. Carly.
Pete, authorities have identified this man as 34-year-old Christopher James Graves. Now, this situation all started yesterday morning when that deputy attempted to deliver court-appointed eviction notice to Graves after he failed to pay rent and utilities in the month of May. And we spoke with a tenant today who lives directly below where Graves lived, and he witnessed this entire situation as it happened yesterday.
You know, I heard screaming, banging, and then shortly after I heard 3 gunshots, and then I heard very briefly after, another 3 gunshots.
Richard Osborne walked out of his apartment for the first time since the shooting took place Wednesday morning, which occurred right above his unit. Though Osborne was told by police to stay inside during the incident, he still caught a glimpse of the grisly scene just outside his door.
There was a huge puddle of blood right here from when the officer most likely was sitting right there, most likely from when he went to the hospital. And as you can tell with the blood that had seeped through, it had fallen right onto my door.
More than 100 officers responded after authorities say Washington County Sheriff's deputies tried to serve a court-ordered eviction notice. And Graves allegedly opened fire on the officers, injuring one of them. Police say when they got into the apartment, they found Graves dead in the bathroom with a gunshot wound, though autopsy results will show whether that shot came from officers or was self-inflicted. Osborne said Graves moved in just a few months ago, and his behavior was notable.
He seemed a bit unhinged. Possibly might have been a few things not quite right in the head. He was loud all the time. His apartment almost always made a lot of loud noise. I heard screaming up there a lot.
The main apartment office was closed Thursday so that employees could recover from the incident they say left them shaken and saddened. Their statement to tenants reads in part, "We extend our heartfelt sympathies to all those affected by this incident. We will continue to provide updates and support as we navigate through this difficult time together." Osborne says he's still processing the trauma of what happened, and he has no plans to move.
I strongly believe it was just an isolated incident. I feel really bad for the individual. These kind of things are terrible, and it's really sad when things like this happen. Graves
appears to have held several addresses within the state of Oregon, but he does not appear to have any other criminal history or even a parking ticket on record. Reporting live in Tualatin, I'm Carly Olson, Fox 12 Oregon.
All right, Carly, thank you.